document folder or save it in the same folder as your Jupyter notebook. Sharing. So see if you can, I was sending to a chat box and we're going to do that together, give you a link. Okay. This is all going to be everyone. So when you go to this website, you're going to be able to find a little button like I'm doing here, called a download raw file. And then you should be able to download from there. So you can download this CSV file. This is the same file we're going to read into our Python using Panda, using the read_CSV function from Panda library. So I'm going to give you 1 minute to download this CSV file, and the link is sent into the chat box.
Just so you know, I had to click 3 horizontal dots on the right side of the GitHub repository. I did not have a download link, but it worked.
Oh, good. Thank you. Are you using a MacBook?
No, Windows.
Okay, interesting. Thank you. All right. So once you download it, you could put that in the same folder as your Jupyter notebook. All right. So I will share with you my screen. If you download, the folder will contain the file as well. Thank you. There are only 3 horizontal. I'll make sure everyone has downloaded. If you have downloaded, you can give me a thumbs up.
Or
I'll
let's,
give you a little time.
if we can do the green checkbox.
Oh, good.
I think that reaction stays up longer.
Okay, the green check box.
Yeah.
So, all right. Wonderful. So if you have downloaded our CSV file, you could give me a green check box. And once you download it, you can move it to where you can navigate to your notebook. So in my computer, I saved that in the same place where I found my Jupyter notebook. So it's easier to load the data that way.
So quick thing to confirm, we don't need to install or download the pandas library. right? We're just gonna be downloading the data. So the original link that went into our learner notes got adjusted. So you just
Oh.
need to download the CSV data from GitHub.
Yes.
The pandas library, Jane, is that built into our Python distribution? Like when you installed Python, we already got pandas as already, right?
Yes.
Perfect.
So let me share my screen. It's the slide bar. So in my computer, I have my Gapmind this in the same place as my Jupyter notebook, and I suggest you to do the same way, so you could follow the same code as I'm doing now. So the function we're reading tabular data into data frame is called a read underscore CSV. If you're using R before, that's almost very similar to the R programming language too. So we're going to create a new object name called data Oceania. And then that is, we're going to use equal sign to assign the right from to the left. So because we have import pandas as PD, so we can refer to this library as PD dot, and the function is read underscore CSV. And then all we need right now is a quote, and then we're going to type our data set name. It's called gap minor underscore GDP underscore oceania.csv. So once you run that, if you don't see the error message, you're probably good. If you want to double check on that, let's use print function. Print data ocean. It's very important to type the variable name consistently and execute. You should be able to see this. So we use a smaller data set so we can make sure everything we're doing can be observable, or we can see that clearly. So this is the data frame. The column represents the different observed variables, and the rows are the observations. And we can see that there are backslashes, and pandas uses backslash to show the wrap lines when the output is too wide. So they are all the variable names, but they're wrapped. So there are different columns. So we also suggest when we have data frame, we use descriptive data frame names so we can distinguish between multiple data frames instead of just using var1, var2 represent different variable names. And if you do not put it here, you do have to find your path by typing the path here. So a quick workaround is to put the file in the same location as your Jupyter notebook, so you don't have to deal with the path. And if your path is incorrect, it will give you an error message called file not found.
Jane, Jody is raising, there's a hand raising for a question.
Okay.
You're muted, Jody.
Zoom bingo. I think I got it. I dropped it into where it needed to go. It wasn't finding it. But I have another problem, but I think I'll figure that out separately. But you answered my question about how it finds it. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you.
I'd be happy to take you to breakout room if you would like, Jody.
It might be a campus issue with our computers, with permission.
Since there might be a lot of pathing issues, do we want to do a green stickies before moving on, perhaps?
Okay, sure.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And also, since typing the file name can be finicky, do you think you could demonstrate tab completion for the file name?
Yes, use tab to do the file name completion.
Just so you know, my notebook was saved one level higher than my home directory.
Notebook is higher than your home directory.
Yeah, the one I see in Windows always is it's the way our Active Directory is set up here. It works. I had to back up one level and find
Oh.
it there.
So maybe you just need to use C users. Thank you, Catherine. Oh, I see.
Yeah, so for the Chico folks, if there's a issue with installation or pandas or whatever, like Jody and I will troubleshoot this and send out the resolution or the solution to all the Chico folks through email afterwards.
Thank you, Robin. All right. So we can see that the row headings, they are automatically assigned zeros and ones. So 0 will be the first one because Python start everything with 0, and then 1 will be actually the second one. So if you would like to index differently, for example, if you want to use the country to index to specify that a column values should be used as row headings, we could, when we import this line, we could add a command. So we could do something like the index column. And then that's going to be using country to do the index country. And then if we print that again, you can see the difference. So I probably should do that with another line. Excuse me, bear me a little, because I want to see the difference. Country. And then I'll remove this part. So this is my code before, and what I'm going to do, I'll print another line of data Oceanian country. So index column, that's a argument to specify you want to index by country instead of 0 and 1. So if we run this And then you can see that the 0 and 1s, they disappear and it will be indexed by country. That's one little difference. And just in case you would like to use that. So next, we are going to introduce a function called data frame .info. .info, that is a function. So once we get our data name or data, we type ocean name, country, .info. That this is a function if you want to find out more about this data frame. The data frame name .info parenthesis. And then if you execute this line, that will return you more information about this data frame. So first of all, this indicates this is the data frame, and then 2 rows named Australia and New Zealand. And there are 12 columns, 12 variables, and each of which has actual 64-bit floating point value. Their type is floating point, and 64-bit is a size. All right. So there are also columns that will store the information about the data frames columns. So if we would like to just get more information about this data frame using more building function. Country.columns, make sure I type my dataset names correct, .columns. This line is going to give you more information about the data columns. And execute that, that's the index, the columns names. All right. So for more functions, if you would like to do a transpose, the .t will do that. So .T, print data Oceania country.
Just letting you know that we cannot see your screen if you're sharing.
You can see my screen. Let me double check on that. Can you see my screen now?
Yes,
Thank you. So we just covered a few functions. We cover info, that's going to give us more information about the information of this data frame. And we covered columns, that's going to return the variable names. And we talk about this .T, that's going to perform a transpose on this data frame. So you can see that it has been transposed, and where the columns will be the rows. And finally, if you would like to get summary statistic, the describe is a very important function you should learn today. So we can print, and then our data set name, data ocean near, and see that, and then dot describe. And then parentheses. Execute this line will give you the summary statistics you will typically need to summarize a data frame. So because they're all floating point, it will be reasonable to summarize the count, the number, the mean and standard deviation, and the max this will be the 5-number summary along with the mean and standard deviation. So our little exercise, I will send you in the chat. In the chat box, send you a link for another data set. And I'm going to ask you to import or load the data set in the same you could save that in the same directory and load the data set and save that into a variable called data Americas and display the summary statistic. I'm going to put more information in our learning notes, and then we're going to practice loading and summarize a data set again. Let me get to the link. Americas. Here, there we go. Here's a link for the data set called Americas. And you are going to read this data set into using Jupyter Notebook into a variable called data Americas. Into the instruction. You read other data and display the summary statistic. Right here. All right. So on our learning notes, I'm going to share with you all in a moment. All right. Are you able to locate on the bottom of our learning notes the little challenge question? Read the data called Gapminder GDP Americas, and then you're going to display its summary statistics using what we have learned today. And the chat box, thank you. The chat box has the link. I'm going to paste the link. Thank you for pasting the link here. All right, in the next 5 minutes, you're going to work on this little exercise. And if you have any troubles, you could raise your hand and we'll have helpers helping you with that.
And when you're completed this challenge, go ahead and react with the green checkbox. And if you're having trouble and need some support, go ahead and react with a red checkbox or check the red X. Rory, you had a question?
I'm having issues getting the data to go through my path, I guess. I'm from Chico though. Is someone able to help me?
Were you able to download the data
Yeah.
and you put it into your same folder as the Oceana?
Yeah, I had issues with the Oceana too.
Okay. Yeah, let's pop.
Breakout?
Mhm.
Can I go to breakout too, Jody?
Sure. Paths are always challenging.
All right, I would like to wrap up our today's lesson. So for that challenge question, I'm going to share my screen. So I have downloaded my my file in the same folder as the Jupyter notebook. So I read my data in the same way as I did for Oceania. So once I load my data, I could use the describe function to print the summary statistics. So my data is called find data America's country data America's. Let me see if I could use tab. Yeah, if you press tab, that will automatically fill the variable names. And then describe, that is the very important function we have learned to summarize the summary statistic for a data set. And let's execute that. That will give us the 5-number summary along with the mean and standard deviation. So in summary, when we learn import the data set, we have learned how to import using an index, and we have learned how to get them information from the data set, the columns names, and how to do the transpose. Most importantly, we learn how to summarize using the building function from Panda package or library. All right, thank you, everyone. I will pass the mic to Robin to wrap up and show you what's going to be for tomorrow.
Yeah. Actually, let me see. Essia. Sanjeet, could I actually have you do this real quick? I realized I hadn't set up the day one feedback form that I want to get together real quick. Appreciate
Sure.
that. And it's just like briefly going over what we're planning on doing tomorrow.
Let me see. I'm gonna look at just a moment. I need to switch over to the agenda for day 2. Sorry, give
I'm
me
gonna go ahead
one.
and stop recording at this point too.
Thanks.